There and welcome to my tutorial on bow drill friction fire lighting. I'm Mark Oriel from Fieldcraft in Pembrokeshire, West Wales, and I apologise about the squeaking in the background there. We've got some pheasants in the brooding box there, just coming on, a couple of weeks old. Anyway, friction fire lighting, I'm going to go through a few of the different types of hearths and spindles and things we can use and the different tinders to light the fire. And I'm also going to go through the actual hands-on approach to actually getting the best out of your bow drill and the spindle and what to do when things are starting to go wrong. Okay, so first of all, if I could just show you some of the stuff we've got here. And the different component parts make up a bow. Obviously there's the bow drill itself, the bow. I use hazel again. I'm a big fan of hazel. I think it's really useful. I like to use one with a slight bend in the bow so that you can tension up the spindle by squeezing the string a little bit as you need to. Some people prefer a straight bow, but then again you can't squeeze the string tight with your fingers if it starts to slacken off in the middle of bowing. String, I've really found these to be fantastic, and it's just chainsaw string. The pull start string for a chainsaw. It lasts 20 times as long as power cord. It doesn't cost an awful lot of money to buy a couple of metres or a couple of pound it is, and it's done. So that's the bow drill, fantastic. And then we're going on to spindles. I'm only really going to talk about hazel today, but you can use sycamore, you can use willow, you can use elder. Elder tends to be a bit more of a favourite of a hand drill. But the hearth boards are a little bit more of a variation, if you like, and some are easier to work with than others. Probably the easiest of all is the lime. This is a piece of cut lime on the machine because we don't have lime much down here in West Wales, Pembrokeshire anyway. This is willow, and this is ivy. Ivy is very, very good as well, but if you've got a nice bit of willow that's well dried, I really like that, and I'm going to probably demonstrate with that today. So that's another component part. So if I just take these two out of the equation for a minute, I'll put them to one side. We've got our bow drill, our spindle, the hearth board, and then we've got a bearing block, which is the top part of the spindle, if you like. It's what we hold the spindle square with when we're bowing. This can be made of as hard a material as you like. If you've got oak or something really hard, great, and you can just put a little bit of moisture in that to grease it and keep it wet, so that you're offering very little friction for the spindle turning the top half, as opposed to the maximum amount of friction you want in the hearth to create the dust or the coal, which will ultimately make the ember. A little small insignificant part of it really, but I think really important, is the ember catcher. This ember catcher is just a thin piece of wood that's been cut down, sliced down very thin, and that not only holds the ember together well to transfer to your char cloth or to your other natural tinders, but what this actually does, it insulates the coal from the cold damp ground underneath it. So if you've got a hot coal on there, it's going to maintain its heat far more effectively than just using a leaf or something like that, which will not offer much in the way of insulation. So a useful tool worth having, just one there. And then here in front of us we've got some more of the natural tinders. We've got crampball fungus, King Alfred's cakes. They'll take a spark very readily, so an ember on them will allow the ember to last longer, if you like, to convey it into something more of a tinder to blow it into a flame, like a flame enhancer, if you like. And then here we've got a little bit of roseberry willow herb, the tops of roseberry willow herb, and we've got some places they'll call this woodbine, other places they'll call it honeysuckle. And that's another good natural one, as is if you can get dead or last year's growth of goosegrass. That's very, very good. You see it very often stuck inside the hedges, dead and dying, and if you can put that in your pocket early enough in the day for it to dry, that's really effective. The other thing then you've got is char cloth. I've got a little char cloth tin here, which is just an old syrup tin. And you stuff that with any natural sort of material that you can, like cotton, silk, denim jeans, that kind of thing. They're all good to use in there. I'm trying to think of some of the other natural materials. Anyway, excellent stuff. Put that in a tin, in the oven, or not so much the oven, sorry, more like a Rayburn, or an open fire is much better again. It will vent off all the impurities and they'll come out through the lid. When you put the lid on and you stuff it through, all the impurities will come through and they very often will go on fire, which is quite normal. It'll be just like a telltale coming off and smoking away. Once it's stopped that and it's been in the fire for quite a while, you've turned it, then you want to plug it so that you're stopping any oxygen getting in when you take this out of the fire and leave it to cool. If you leave oxygen get into it, the chances are it will self-ignite and you'll have wasted all your char cloth. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to hopefully show you how to bed in a spindle into a hearth, which we're going to use the hazel spindle into a willow hearth with the bow drill, and we're going to hopefully see if we can get an ember. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is just make a little divot in the hearth board, about in the middle, or I don't know, about quarter, half an inch from the edge. Just a small divot like that with the tip of the knife. Doesn't need to be too much more fancy than that. Then I'm going to be putting the spindle up inside between the string and the bow, turning it towards me, locking it off. So I've got it there. I've got the ball of my foot on the, I'm not using the ember catcher at the moment. I'm not intending to get an ember, I'm just bedding it in. And then the bearing block goes on top of the spindle. From there, keeping everything nice and vertical and steady without too much downward pressure, I'm just going to bed this in so that it's creating a nice recess in the hearth board, and drying the spindle out a little bit and drying the hearth out a little bit, because these have been down in the bar now for probably months actually. So once I'm starting to get somewhere, without choking on the smoke, just stop there. And then you can see how it's just started to make a nice little impression in the hearth board. And then what we need to do is just cut a slot from the centre in line with the outside edge. So in a line from there to there, we're going from there and into the middle. You can use the saw to do this as well. Be careful of your hands. I'm going to use the knife today though, because it's only a little notch I need, and you just need this notch to be enough so when the spindle's flying around there, it's going at quite a high rate of knots in rotation, and that will create your coal to start forming on your ember catcher. Okay, that's nearly done. Doesn't need to be much more than that. Just that, yeah? That's it. And then I'm going to put my ember catcher underneath, the spindle set up, foot on top again, and then nice and steady. And this is the key. Don't try and get an ember straight away. Just get everything running smooth. If you need to stop, stop. Everything seems going well. I'll go a little bit quicker. You can see it smoking there now. That ember's quite safe. No rush. And just transfer that into a little bit of char cloth, and then into my hay, and then blow it into flame. We are in an outhouse here with a concrete floor, so not like I'm doing this in the house. There you go. Flame. As easy as that. Just drop it down on the floor. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our little tutorial on friction firelighting. There should be more to follow from Fieldcraft.